It's Brian, and as always, I'm here to tackle some big picture issues today. Today's big question: why isn't Soarin' Over California just the permanent default attraction in California Adventure at Disneyland? The easiest answer is that Soarin' Around the World, its replacement, is a more polished product in just about every way. But nostalgia is one hell of a drug. Also, hey, if you're new here, subscribe if you want, or don't. I don't care. So if you've never been on Soarin' Over California or Soarin' Around the World or any sort of Soarin' type ride, it's a very special ride and it's kind of hard to describe. Basically, it's a screen-based ride where you simulate glider flight in a large auditorium. After you board your flight vehicle, you essentially take off and you're suspended 30 feet, maybe 40 feet above the ground in front of this giant wall display. And this wall is where the video for the ride is projected. And the scenes within this video depict cityscapes or scenic vistas that you are flying over from the perspective of sitting in this glider. Mix that foundation with a beautiful, well-done score, fun transitional elements, and even some 4D interactive portions of the ride, and you get a very easy fan favorite. Most likely, if you are riding Soarin' today, you are seeing the Soarin' Around the World video. This version of the film was introduced in 2016 and features glider flight footage above iconic global destinations like the Taj Mahal, the Eiffel Tower, Neuschwanstein, and other notable places. But before the introduction of this film in 2016, there was an original version of the film that debuted with the ride in Disneyland, even debuted with the ride in Florida, and it was called Soarin' Over California. It's a little weird, but let's talk about it. As the name might suggest, in this variation of the film, you fly over scenic California destinations, like Big Sur or the Redwood Forest, even the hellscape that is Los Angeles traffic, and you end at Disneyland. But ever since 2016, when they switched over to Soarin' Around the World, Soarin' Over California has been very, very difficult to see. In fact, the only time you can catch the original experience for this ride is when California Adventure is hosting its Food and Wine Festival. It's usually about a 6-week period in the beginning of spring. This year it runs from March 3rd to April 25th. So if you don't have your plans already to go to Disneyland before April 25th, you're gonna have to wait till next year probably to see Soarin' Over California. So, plan accordingly. It's Future Brian, and I am in the edit, and I just wanted to get out ahead of this before y'all made fun of me for it. I'm gonna make fun of me for it. I do know that in the video, you're gonna start seeing it. I'm gonna start sweating right here, and it's gonna go to my hair, and I'm gonna look like I just finished a marathon. I'm new at this. I'm learning how to dial in these lights that I have. For some reason, I still wear sweatshirts all the time, even when I'm recording. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know, but I think it's funny, so I welcome the comments below if you want to make them. Feel free. In case you were worried about me maybe running a mid-filming session marathon, don't worry, I'm not. I'm just very prone to sweat from intense lights. So that's it. See ya. So, is Soarin' Over California better? No, it's not. I wouldn't objectively say that it is. I actually recently just got back from a trip to Disneyland, which is a sentence that is more true than it's not. But I went specifically to ride Soarin' Over California, and yes, please call me a loser in the comments. I'm all for it. This was the first time that I had the opportunity to see the original ride experience since they introduced Soarin' Around the World in 2016. And while this is something that they do yearly now, this was not something that they did until 2019. So from 2016 to 2019, Soarin' Over California was just completely gone. On my day at the park, I was able to get on the ride twice because I'm just double a loser, I guess. And I shit you not, both times I was on the ride, once it concluded, people in the auditorium clapped for the ride, like audibly and for a long time, clap. And just for the record, I'm not laughing at these people because I am the loser who traveled 1,000 miles to go on it. But I have been on some variation of Soarin' dozens and dozens of times in my life, whether that's Soarin' Over California or Soarin' Around the World, and I have never once heard it get that reception. And so that just got me thinking, if people are evidently so excited to see it again, why isn't it a more permanent thing? Why does Disney only run it for 6 weeks in the year? Why can't both Soarin' Over California and Soarin' Around the World exist at Disneyland at the same time? And to put this one to bed right away, no, Soarin' Over California is not better. Soarin' Around the World is way better. I mean, just looking at the visual fidelity of the film, the transitions are better. Everything about that experience is objectively better. Despite that, I do feel like both Soarin' Over California and Soarin' Around the World have their own pros and cons associated with them. Both have different advantages and disadvantages. For instance, Soarin' Around the World, while it has better visual fidelity, and while the transitions between the scenes are more fun, there's a lot more verticality in that video that just doesn't lend itself well to the nature of the display. There are a lot of instances where tall landmarks that are shown in the film are warped, like super warped, to like a comical degree. In contrast, as I've stated before, the video for Soarin' Over California is not as high quality. It doesn't have quite the same verticality issues as Soarin' Around the World, but the scenic vistas still don't look as clear as they might on Soarin' Around the World. But, and this is a huge, gigantic, enormous but, Soarin' Over California has the best use of scent injection of any ride or experience I've ever been on. This is something that both experiences offer. For instance, on Soarin' Around the World, when you're flying over the Taj Mahal, you get scents of rose and sandalwood. It's just not super strong. But on Soarin' Over California, there's this scene where you're flying over an orange grove, and it is like they sliced an orange in front of you and just like shoved both ends into your nose. It is the strongest scent I've ever smelled in my entire life, and I love it so much. It is so strong that for years after the fact, after they switched over to Soarin' Around the World, that orange scent lingered in the auditorium. Also, and I don't know where to put this in the video, but I'm just gonna talk about it. Is it weird that Florida opened with Soarin' Over California? And that was your film for 11 years until you changed? Cause part of me is like, it makes sense for that film to exist in California because most of the people who go to that park are from California. So like that is the home state. There's a pride there. Was it weird in Florida? Because I never went on it in Florida. I don't know. Was it weird in Florida for that to be the experience? It could go both ways. I don't really know. Like maybe it's interesting because you're not from California. And maybe it's weird because we are in California and that's the ride. I don't know. I've just always wondered that. So anybody wants to tell me, let me know. Like I have nostalgia for Soarin' Over California. And I just want to know, are there any Florida parks goers who grew up going to Epcot who don't have Soarin' Over California anymore, who are nostalgic and long to see Soarin' Over California? I need to know. Tell me, please. And I should say, there's been a lot of outrage recently about rides changing. I have mentioned that I enjoy Soarin' Around the World and I enjoy Soarin' Over California. And there was no part of me that was ever upset about the change from, point A to point B. I was fine with it. It's a better experience now. I just miss the old experience too. And I don't understand why they can't coexist, Like, let's be clear. I don't work attractions for Disneyland. I'm not a ride operator. I don't know how to do any of that. I've never done a Disney college program. So I don't know. What I am, though, is a researcher. And I'll even go to far-flung sites like Wikipedia to get information. And on a recent trip to wikipedia.org, on the Soarin' page itself, I saw that when Soarin' Over California closed to initially transition to Soarin' Around the World in 2016, it closed on July 15th and reopened on July 17th. So it was closed for 2 days. They probably changed the floppy disk, knowing how archaic their systems are. And I'm not sure about this. I didn't do any research, so, kill me in the comments if you want. But for pop-up events like the Food and Wine Festival, I am pretty sure the ride goes dark on one day as Soarin' Around the World and goes up the next day as Soarin' Over California. And that's because I don't think there's that much to change. I think the biggest aspect of the change is the scents, but everything else, the theming outside the ride, they slap a wooden sign on a hook that says Over California instead of Around the World. There are small placards inside the queue that change depending on which one it is. Even the pre-flight video, the safety briefing, it's the same. The only difference is before it airs, they're showing you flying through the clouds and it shows different destinations and it might change from Jakarta to San Diego. So I just don't feel like there's a lot that needs to change, so why can't we have both? There are even 2 theaters in the building. So just put one on Soarin' Around the World and put one on Soarin' Over California and call it good. So why don't they, at this point, I'm pretty sure they know that there are idiots and losers like me who will travel a long way to go see it for the nostalgia aspect. And if they brought it back to the parks full time, that would be lost. So I see that, I realize that, okay? I get it. If it were a year-round thing, it always rotated in and out, it wouldn't be as special. But still, it's weird that the attraction based in California doesn't have the California option, the California skin, more frequently. It's a little weird, right? So my pipe dream scenario, and you can tell me yours in the comment below if you want, they have 2 theaters, there are 2 different theaters. Why not have one run Soarin' Around the World and have the other one run Soarin' Over California? Don't let people pick. That's a nightmare. Just assign people randomly. What you get is what you get, but you have a chance to get them both whenever you want. That would be ideal. And then, if we're gonna go pipe dreams, we might as well go all the way. Refilm it. Let's get the high fidelity version of Soarin' Over California. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? I want to see that golf ball come at me in 4K, but that would cost more than $8, so Disney will never do it. But hey, I can dream, right? Anyway, that's all I really got. What do you guys think? Do you care at all about Soarin' Over California? Have you made a trip specifically to go see it like I have? Are you as dumb as me? Or do you just, you don't care? Soarin' Around the World is better. It is, I agree. And you're fine living with that world exclusively. Just let me know. And if you have any pipe dream solutions, I want to hear those too. So type them down below. But otherwise, that's it. I'm gonna go. Bye.